So apparently, some of y'all think that Chloe Price is a selfish, angry asshole. And look, you're totally allowed not to vibe with Chloe Price. But a lot of times when I hear these takes, I'm like, did we play the same game? Because when you look at Chloe on the surface, there's sarcasm, rage, and impulsive decisions. But when you look underneath, she's basically grief and abandonment issues wearing a beanie. Chloe's behavior isn't random. It's a pattern. And Chloe Price is basically what happens when life keeps hitting the abandon button on a keyboard. Hey guys, I'm Captain Lauren and I've been a Life is Strange fan since 2015. Or at least that's when my hyperfixation started. I'm someone who tends to be an obsessive overthinker, whether it's characters, lore, or hidden details. So in this series, we're diving deep into the world of Life is Strange. And today's gonna be about my favorite character, Chloe Price. And we're gonna analyze why she acts the way she does, why she reacts the way she does, and why her personality is the way it is. Especially because I've been seeing comments for years of saying that Chloe Price is a bad friend. Chloe Price is selfish. Chloe Price is annoying. And I'm not here to tell you that Chloe is perfect because she's absolutely not. She's reckless, she's rude, and she's really messy. But I'm here to say that Chloe Price isn't like this just to be an asshole. Chloe Price is a domino chain. With one tragedy knocking into the next, by the time we meet her in Life is Strange, Chloe has built her whole personality around one belief. Everyone leaves. And when that belief gets installed, it affects everything. How she talks, how she loves, how she reacts, how she tests people, how she self-sabotages. All of it. And I'm gonna do a bit of an overshare here. Chloe's nobody cares, I don't give a fuck about anybody attitude, the way she pushes people away before they can leave, that was me in high school, like disturbingly accurate. And maybe a little bit now. So let's start with the first domino in Chloe Price's life, William's death, and the first crack in the foundation. Before we even get to Max, David, or Rachel, we need to start with the event that rewired Chloe's entire brain. William's death. This is the moment Chloe loses stability, safety, routine, her dad, and she loses him suddenly. No warning, no closure, just gone. And when people go through loss like that, especially as a teenager, it doesn't always show up as crying in the rain while sad music plays. In teenagers, grief can show up as anger, acting out, don't tell me what to do, self-destruction, with a side of sarcasm. Basically insert Chloe Price. So when Chloe becomes volatile and reactive, that's not her being evil. That's a teenager trying to survive an emotional situation she does not have the tools for. And I know some people watching this are going to be like, okay, I have trauma. Lots of people have trauma, and we don't act like Chloe Price. That's true, but people often respond differently based on their support systems. And Chloe's support system basically collapses right after this, which brings us to domino number 2. Max leaving. And basically confirming Chloe's worst fear. Max leaving right after William's death is honestly one of the most emotionally brutal parts of the whole franchise, because it's not just Max moved. To Chloe, it's my dad died, and then my best friend is gone too. And not just moves away, disappears completely. Chloe experiences it as Max is basically disappearing during the most important and fragile times in her life. Farewell is brutal because Max literally says she knows it's the worst time to go and promises they'll write and talk all the time. But we know how that ends up. And before the storm, Chloe is writing in her journal to Max constantly, basically talking to somebody who isn't there, because she's still attached, still hoping, still waiting. So if you want the psychological translation from somebody who totally has experience, Chloe shows anxious attachment behavior. The please don't leave me, please choose me, please come back, why aren't you answering? It's all signs that point to it. And I'm saying this as an anxious attachment person myself, even if we don't identify with all of the same things. Man, I'm like really putting myself on blast with this deep dive. Anxious attachment tends to show up as fear of abandonment, needing reassurance, testing people without meaning to, the do you still care about me type of energy. Reading into everything. Yeah, I don't know somebody who reads into everything. And Chloe does that constantly because she learned early that love can vanish overnight. So when Max comes back years later, Chloe doesn't go, yay, my best friend is back. Chloe's brain goes, okay, do you actually care this time? Or are you gonna leave me again? That's why she's intense, she's reactive. That's why she's always scanning for signs that she's not the priority. And Max is very avoidant coded. Not a bad person, but somebody who avoids conflict heavily, and even her own feelings. But we'll save Max's full deep dive for the next video. Max and Chloe together end up creating the roughest combo. Anxious attachment plus avoidant attachment equals two people who deeply care about each other, but trigger the hell out of each other because of their differences. Speaking of differences, insert domino number 3, Joyce and David. Betrayal, replacement, and not being heard. Now let's add in Chloe's home situation. Joyce starts dating David not too long after William's death. And from Chloe's perspective, it feels like my dad is gone, my mom moved on, and she moved on with a guy who's a step douche. And she doesn't defend me. Chloe doesn't just feel replaced, she feels betrayed. Because Joyce isn't just bringing a new person into the house, Joyce repeatedly chooses David's version of events over Chloe's. And David's behavior really matters here. He treats Chloe like a soldier who needs to fall in line, not a grieving kid. Which is ironic, considering he shares that he's lost people he's been close to as well. His army buddies felt like family to him. David is controlling and confrontational, and it makes Chloe feel like her home isn't emotionally safe, because she's living in a situation where she feels unheard, disbelieved, and outnumbered. This is why Chloe lashes out at Joyce so much. It's not, I hate my mom, it's, why don't you choose me? And when a teenager feels like their parent isn't choosing them, that anger doesn't come out as calm and reasonable. It comes out loud, defensive, and messy. And Joyce, I love her, but she's a parent who desperately wants stability. She wants the full family so badly that she ignores the emotional cost to her kid. There are multiple times throughout both games where Chloe tries to talk to Joyce and she does not hear her, which in turn makes Chloe not want to spend time at home. And remember being a teenager? Everything turns into a hurricane over a small conflict, but it's usually not small. It's usually an iceberg underwater. Speaking of things that lie below the surface, domino number 4, Rachel Amber. Chloe's emotional lifeline. Now, Rachel Amber shows up like a meteor just crashing into Chloe's life when she needed it the most. And this is the part that I think people really don't get unless they've played Before the Storm or paid attention to what Rachel meant to Chloe. Rachel doesn't just become Chloe's friend. Rachel becomes a person that fills that empty space that Max left. Because after William's death and Max's vanishing act, Chloe is emotionally starving. She's alone. She's angry. She feels like nobody cares, which is why she's so conflicted in Before the Storm. And it's why she's always talking to William in her nightmares. She's trying to find some clarity to see if getting close to Rachel is safe, and to see if someone actually cares. Rachel gives Chloe something she hasn't had in a long time: attention, connection, intensity, the feeling of being seen, a reason to hope, a plan to escape Arcadia Bay. Rachel becomes Chloe's emotional anchor, on top of being a best friend and paired with falling in love for the first time. So when Rachel disappears, Chloe isn't being annoying about Rachel. Chloe is fighting not to lose another person in her life. Because if Chloe lets Rachel become another person that left, it confirms her core belief: everyone leaves, nobody stays, nothing is safe. That's why Chloe becomes obsessive about finding her. It's grief plus desperation plus abandonment all rolled together. And it explains why Chloe sometimes seems hyper-focused on Rachel when Max returns. Because Chloe doesn't trust anything anymore. Max coming back is emotionally huge, but Chloe's brain is like, okay, what if Max leaves again? Rachel is missing right now. And in Chloe's mind, Rachel hasn't proven she would leave her in the way that Max did. It's not that Chloe doesn't care about Max. It's that Chloe's survival brain is prioritizing the most urgent loss, and Rachel hasn't proven to leave Chloe because she's missing. And even though Chloe's brain is desperately fighting the constant thought, see, I told you everyone leaves, because now Chloe isn't just grieving William or Max, she's grieving Rachel, while having no closure, while the town won't shut up about Rachel because she's basically Arcadia's base celebrity missing person. And this is mental torture. So when Chloe becomes obsessive over finding Rachel, it's not Chloe being dramatic. It's Chloe trying to prove she didn't lose another person. And if you think that Rachel's disappearance is just another plot device, it's not. Rachel disappearing is the moment that Chloe's brain fully commits to her belief: everyone leaves. But let's back it up with some evidence. The diner phone call. And it's gonna serve as a little bit of an anxious attachment test. Now let's talk about the moment that gets Chloe crucified every time. The diner. Kate calls, Chloe gets pissed. And I need people to understand something really simple. We are playing as Max. We know Kate's storyline. We know the danger. Chloe does not. All Chloe sees is, my best friend finally came back, and within 5 seconds, I'm not the priority again. From Chloe's POV, the timeline is, Max disappears for years. Then Max comes back out of nowhere without saying anything to her. Chloe finally starts to let her in, and then suddenly, Max emotionally pulls away again. So when Chloe is reacting this way, it's not, I hate Kate. It's not, I want Kate to die. It's, am I about to be abandoned again? And yes, it's unfair, but trauma responses often are. But it makes total sense for somebody with abandonment trauma, because here's what anxious attachment does. It turns small moments like these into a test, not a conscious, I'm manipulating you test, an emotional survival test. Are you gonna choose me, or am I about to lose you again? But here's what I've seemed to notice when people bring up the diner phone call. Chloe actually apologizes later at the hospital, but people seem to conveniently forget that because I think hating her is easier than understanding her. Moving on to evidence number 2, the handicap fund and Frank's debt. The handicap fund is another thing that people use to label Chloe as bad. First, it's literally a player choice. So if you're mad that Chloe did it, you also kind of have to be mad at yourself because that's between you and your rewind power. Second, Chloe's motivation is not, I love stealing from disabled people. Her motivation is, I need Frank to talk. I need information. I need progress. I need Rachel. And Frank serves as a gatekeeper to those answers. And Chloe is desperate enough to suggest something morally questionable because she's in an emotional crisis. But here's where it ties back into abandonment. Chloe is terrified of losing people and never getting closure. So she will take huge risks to avoid feeling that again, even if that makes her look selfish, even if it's messy. Because closure to Chloe feels like oxygen. Does trauma make you morally correct? No. Does it explain why someone would get desperate? Yes. Moving on to Chloe's asshole traits as defense mechanisms. The psychological translation. Now, a lot of people say that Chloe Price is just an asshole. But what they're actually seeing are her defense mechanisms. Her sarcasm and humor is a shield, armor, to protect herself. Her angry outbursts are a way of having control, so she doesn't have to be vulnerable. Her impulsiveness is an escape. If she acts fast enough, then she doesn't have to feel anything. Pushing people away is another layer of protection, just like her humor. Reject them so you don't get rejected. And finally, the jealousy with Max specifically, it's her abandonment panic. Saying, are you leaving? Will you choose me? Even the game mechanics reflect this part of Chloe's personality. Meaning, in Before the Storm, Chloe's backtalk isn't just a gimmick because she doesn't have superpowers. It's literally a system built around her using confrontation and sharp dialogue as a tool to navigate the world. Said by lead writer of Before the Storm, Zach Garris, the idea is to give players the chance to step into Chloe's shoes when she's at her most witty. And at times, maybe most brutal. Backtalk allows Chloe to push anybody's buttons through a special dialogue minigame to elicit the kind of behavior she wants from somebody. And that is Chloe's survival skill. Verbal defense, emotional offense. It gives her control around her life when everything feels out of control. And I personally resonate with that because when you feel misunderstood or unheard for a long time, you either get quiet or you get loud. Chloe gets loud, as do I. But the saddest part is that underneath all of that, Chloe is deeply loyal. When she loves someone, she loves them like it's life or death. Because in her experience, it kind of always is life or death. Adding a counterpoint here for Chloe's capacity of love and sacrifice. I know a lot of people also claim that Chloe is selfish. She is not capable of sacrifice, but she is. Chloe is capable of choosing other people over herself. And the fact that she can reach that point matters because it proves that she isn't a heartless character. Chloe's issue isn't that she can't love, it's that love has repeatedly been paired with loss. So she clings, she lashes out, she tests, she panics because she's scared. And that's why she tells Max to sacrifice her to save Arcadia Bay. And if Chloe were truly selfish, she would have never been willing to sacrifice herself for other people. So yeah, Chloe Price is messy, reckless, and downright exhausting at times. Chloe's emotional support animal is definitely the middle finger, but she's not intense for no reason. She's not a blunt asshole for no reason. She's a character shaped by grief, instability, and abandonment. And if you zoom out and watch the dominoes fall, everything starts to click. Because if abandonment issues were a person, Chloe Price would be their spokesmodel. And again, speaking personally from someone who also deals with abandonment issues, I see a lot of my high school self within Chloe. Without the blue hair, unfortunately. Just the I'm hurting, so I'm gonna act like I don't care part. And maybe that is why Chloe Price is my favorite character in the Life is Strange franchise, because I resonate with her so heavily. But on the next deep dive, we're gonna tackle Chloe Price's partner in time, Max Caulfield. But now I want to hear from you guys. Do you understand Chloe more now looking at all the dominoes? Or you're still like, yeah, no, she's not for me? Drop your take in the comments. But also, I might need to update this analysis once I see a 31-year-old Chloe Price in Life is Strange reunion. Because with Max and Chloe finally reuniting again, it's been years since we have seen Chloe Price. And hopefully, after all these years, she has been healing and growing. Also, if you want to see some of my exclusive gameplay of Life is Strange Reunion, I'll link that in the description below.